Hi, my name's Ben Beaton. I'm an artist. I've done a project out at Uluru looking at the ecology, geology, deep time history and the formation of the rock. When I first arrived, I was wondering what's under the sand and how can I create an artwork about this. So the first thing I did was think about uh, actually seeing it from above. So I took a flight with Ayers helicopters, which was absolutely brilliant. It really gave me like the big picture on the landscape, and without that perspective, obviously, I wouldn't have created the kind of artwork that I did on this trip. From above, I could see obviously the top, all of the grooves, the shadows, they come out very, very differently. And when you're on the ground, it's a totally different perspective. I really needed the aerial perspective, and Ayers helicopters was absolutely brilliant for that. It got me thinking, when I was looking down from above, it's like an iceberg, but it's more of like a rockberg. So I did this image just to sort of clarify that in my mind, and I did a bit of research, and I realized it sort of slants off to the south apparently a little bit. So I've darkened that. You can see it there. And this is the painting that I worked on with Heather Duff. But in the bottom left corner, you can see that there is a influence by my helicopter flight. You can see that there it is, that image just there came out of the helicopter experience. After further research, I did find these images of geological cross sections which I put into the painting. And again, having been on the flight, imagined Uluru and the shape continuing from under the sand from a topographical perspective, then having these images as well, which is showing the geological folding through deep time that you can see here, and eventually the landscape erodes away and we can see Uluru today. But I went further than that and put in some other images of what will happen in the future, which you can learn about in different films. So here we can see another shot when I was with Ayers helicopters. So what I've done here is marked in the approximate, I'm not a scientist, I'm an artist, I'm saying these approximate kind of dates for the sedimentary layers of the rock. So when you're on your helicopter flight, bear this in mind because it really changes your perspective on things. The central kind of rock, so it's a little bit to the southern side of the centre, Cambrian, which is why you're looking at these images. And the top left corner there, something like that, that's a backboned animal. It's I feature a Hycoichthys in my painting. That's not a Hycoichthys, but it's one of these early backboned animals, which it's believed are our ancestors. So again, all of these things is what I was considering on the flight itself. So for me as an artist, the experience of the flight with all of this different information in my mind, as I was really overwhelmed by the incredible perspective of the landscape that you can really only get when you're up with a pilot on the helicopter flight with Ayers helicopters is absolutely astounding. One of the other things that I was wondering about on the flight was how did it actually what did the world look like when it was being laid down, the sediments were being laid down, because you can, from the flight, I could actually really see the sedimentary lines going from one side of the rock all the way over, obviously, to the other side of the rock. It makes it a lot clearer in your understanding of, really what's going on. And I learned about the Peterman mountain range, which apparently was the size of the Himalayas, and this is a link to that kind of ancient world. It had been raining, as you can see. It was a darker day, but the wonderful thing about that was that there was still pools of water on the top of the rock, which was really incredible to see. And the really unusual. It's almost like kind of a large kind of folded sheet. It's really hard to describe unless you're up there experiencing it yourself. And also, when you're walking around it, there's that mystery of, you see these um, deep gullies and things, but then and you go to the other side, and if you haven't been there very long, it's very easy to actually get quite disorientated. So again, seeing it from the helicopter perspective, it changes everything and puts the pieces together. In terms of orientating yourself from in the landscape, it was the best way that I could possibly do that, and get inspired to create the kind of work that I have during this residency. The other part of the flight with Ayers helicopters was over Kata Tjuta, also, or formerly known as the Olgas. There's 36 domes that make up Kata Tjuta, and it covers an area of about 21 kilometers squared or thereabouts. It's conglomerate, so it's different to the layering, sedimentary layering of what you see at Uluru. It was believed at one point they were actually joined together, but it's not the case at all. Kata Tjuta was closer to the Peterman mountain ranges, and so you get a lot of, if you can imagine, large rivers washing down from these mountain ranges, you've got a lot more like boulders and types of material, and these rocks and things sink to the bottom of these large rivers, and the finer sand grains get washed out further, and those finer sand grains at Uluru, if you go look at the walls, so to speak, Kata Tjuta, you'll see it's conglomerate. It's full of all sorts of boulders, and it's really really unusual. And again, looking at it from above, it's like, you really can get in there and really see the place. Um, I I just found that the 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 sheer scale of Kata Tjuta from above was at was I don't have the words to describe that, really. Um, you can't access that from a walk, and I've done the walks, and they were absolutely incredible. But from above, and seeing how much larger it actually is than Uluru itself, is really really quite incredible. So in summary, returning to the painting, the experience with Ayers helicopters uh, had a real impact on the approach to the arrangement of the artwork that I then undertook with Heather Duff. The aerial perspective, as you can see in so many of the elements, initially I was sort of thinking it'll be coming up from under the ground looking at Uluru, but with the helicopter flight, it actually turned out to be both. You're under the ground in the top right of the painting, and then you're above in the bottom left, and also we have the kind of that perspective carries throughout the middle section of the painting as well, in a sense. So Uluru from below, it sort of started that way, and then through the helicopter flight with Ayers helicopters, the whole thing sort of skewered in perspective. So you've got this large kind of vista that you in the artwork that just wouldn't exist if I hadn't taken the helicopter flight. So very privileged to have had that wonderful, wonderful experience, of course, with Ayers helicopters, and I'm very grateful. if you're visiting Uluru, I highly recommend taking the flight with Ayers Rock helicopters, because it's just you won't forget it. It'll be with me, the memories of that experience, for the rest of my life.